No food for 24 hours, and your brain gets sharper? Sounds like junk science, but it's real. You've been told that skipping meals makes you foggy, irritable, or tired. So how do we explain the thousands of people who fast for 16-24 hours and say their minds feel crystal clear, more focused, and even happier? Welcome to one of biology's most underrated paradoxes. The human brain doesn't just survive hunger, it thrives in it. Around 6 to 8 hours into a fast, your brain flips a switch. It stops burning glucose like a sugar-addicted teenager and starts running on ketones, a high-performance, slow-burning fuel that makes you alert, calm, and inspired. While modern life sells you 5 cups of coffee a day to stay productive, your ancient biology has had a turbo mode hidden inside you all along. So why have we been told that skipping breakfast is dangerous? Why does every hunger signal feel like an emergency instead of a chance for neurological clarity? If you've ever felt more tired after a big meal than before it but felt strangely focused while fasting, this video is for you. Today, we're breaking down exactly what happens to your brain in the first 24 hours of fasting, and why it may be the most misunderstood brain hack of our time. Watch till the end to see why this isn't a trendy diet, it's a forgotten survival instinct. And if you're curious to discover more hidden science inside your body, hit that subscribe button now. The moment you skip your first meal, whether it's breakfast or lunch, your body doesn't panic like you might expect. No alarms, no emergency signals. Instead, a series of silent shifts begins, like your body quietly cleaning up after your last feast. Blood sugar drops slightly, but not dangerously. The liver steps in, releasing stored glycogen like a backup battery to keep everything stable. At this point, you're still running on the warmth of yesterday's fire, the remnants of your last meal. Meanwhile, your brain, which burns up to 20% of your body's energy, reacts in an incredibly strategic way. It shifts gears into survival mode. The regions responsible for focus and alertness begin to light up. Instead of getting foggy or weak, you actually become sharper. Why? Because millions of years of evolution trained your brain to get laser-focused when food was scarce so you could go hunt it. This isn't a flaw, it's a feature, and one that helped your ancestors survive through brutal seasons of scarcity. Another interesting twist: your adrenaline levels rise slightly. Not like you're being chased by a bear, just enough to keep you alert, responsive, and mentally switched on. It's like your body presses the hunt mode button in a survival game. You start noticing your mind feels a little clearer, a little quicker. Quite the opposite of how you feel after that oversized bowl of noodles that leaves you in a food coma, right? Science calls this a short-term homeostatic shift. Your body still has enough energy to stay calm. But more importantly, it's testing its response to the absence of food, and instead of panicking, it adapts. It doesn't burn muscle. It doesn't make you weak. It simply unplugs from external energy and begins to reorganize its systems. This is also where beginners often confuse habit hunger with real hunger. Real hunger happens when you've depleted energy. Habit hunger is that false alarm when the clock hits noon and your stomach grumbles even if you had a big breakfast. Ignore that conditioned response, and you enter a whole new state, one where your brain slowly starts relying on something other than sugar to survive. Phase 6-12 hours. The hunger that isn't real. Around the 6-hour mark, your stomach starts to grumble like a low drum roll before a concert. But here's the twist: that hunger you're feeling? It's not entirely real. In fact, during this stage, the sensation of hunger is mostly a habit, not an emergency. The culprit is your hypothalamus, the part of your brain trained to expect food at set times. Imagine your brain as a toddler used to napping at noon. Right on time. It yawns, even if it's not tired. Similarly, when the clock hits 12 p.m., your brain remembers. There's usually a sandwich or bowl of rice coming. When it doesn't arrive, your hypothalamus sends out alerts like, "Hey, something's missing," and suddenly you feel hungry. But in truth, your body still has plenty of energy. This is a turning point. If you resist the urge to snack during this phase, something fascinating happens. The fake hunger fades, and your focus sharpens. You're not hallucinating, your nervous system is reacting. Your brain releases a molecule called neuropeptide Y, NPY. It's a multitasker. It both stimulates appetite and enhances alertness, attention, and reaction time. It's like a double-edged sword. It nudges you to look for food, but also upgrades your brain for peak performance in the process. Our ancestors didn't curl up and cry when they were hungry, they hunted. And NPY is part of that evolutionary survival toolkit. Rather than draining your energy, this phase makes you sharper, more responsive, and, in some cases, even slightly euphoric, like you've entered hyper-productivity mode. So next time you feel hunger at 10 or 11 a.m., don't rush to eat just because your clock says so. Ask yourself, am I truly hungry? Or just conditioned to eat now? Because if you push through, your brain will begin to awaken in ways you never expected, like a machine switching from idle to high gear, focused on surviving smarter, not harder. Hours 12:16. The metabolic switch flips. Time to hunt. If hours 6:12 were like your stomach calling for help, then hour 12 is when your body finally gets the memo. All right, no food is coming. Time to switch gears. This is the official start of your fasted state. The party's over, insulin crashes, and that's actually a great thing. When insulin drops, fat is unlocked. Those long idle fat stores, lounging under your belly and hugging your hips, are finally summoned to duty. Report to the liver as soon as possible. Your liver transforms into a biofuel refinery, converting fatty acids into ketones, a clean, long-burning energy source your brain adores. Think of ketones as the espresso shot of human metabolism, no sugar crash, just focused clarity. From this moment on, you're no longer running on cheap glucose, that high-speed, high-crash fuel. You've upgraded to premium biofuel. While glucose is like a sparkler, flashy but fleeting, ketones burn slow and strong, like a steady campfire that warms you through the night. And the effects? People often say, "I'm not hungry anymore, but I feel oddly sharp." That's not magic, that's biology. Your brain now runs on ketones, which not only fuel your mind but protect it. They reduce inflammation, enhance mitochondrial function, and boost mental clarity. In this phase, your body becomes the sleek, optimized machine it was always meant to be. It's as if your cells are remembering the ancient code, the way your ancestors survived without snacks, fridges, or food delivery apps. Modern life tells you to eat every 3 hours. But your body? It's whispering, "Trust me, I was built for this." So if you hit hour 13 and feel a strange wave of clarity and strength, you're not broken. You're just finally running on your original operating system. Hours 16:24. The brain gets a system reboot. By hour 16, you're no longer just fasting, you've activated one of the body's oldest, smartest metabolic upgrades. Welcome to full-blown ketosis. Here, ketones take over as your brain and body's main fuel. Unlike the sugar roller coaster, ketones are slow-burning, steady, and drama-free. Think less caffeine addict, more Zen warrior. At this point, your brain feels different, calmer, clearer, smoother. No more mid-afternoon crashes or sugar spikes. Energy flows like a quiet stream, not a chaotic flood. Your neurons love this, and they show it by becoming sharper and more efficient. But beneath this mental clarity, something extraordinary is happening. Autophagy has begun. It's your body's deep clean mode. Broken proteins? Eaten. Damaged mitochondria? Recycled. Dysfunctional bits? Removed. This isn't just anti-aging, it's cellular rejuvenation, especially in the brain. You're not starving, you're regenerating. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin begin to stabilize. That anxious buzz from constant eating and snacking? Gone. In its place, a strange but welcome calm. This isn't just mood improvement, it's biochemical balance returning. This phase feels like jazz. Not flashy, but masterfully coordinated. Every system is syncing. Your brain is no longer a panicked food chaser, it's a focused conductor, orchestrating your mind and metabolism in perfect rhythm. And the best part? You're not hungry. You're being nourished by your own biology. This isn't about self-denial, it's about getting out of your own way and letting your body show you what it's truly capable of. In just 24 hours, you're already feeling what most diets never deliver: peace, power, and presence. And the best part? The journey's just beginning. You know, I used to be someone who couldn't survive without breakfast. If it got past 9 a.m. without anything in my stomach, I'd start getting irritable, dizzy, shaky hands, and a foggy mind. Back then, I was convinced of one thing: fasting was an act against life. The fastest way to burn muscle, dull the brain, and drag myself into a pit of fatigue. But one day, I decided to put that belief on the operating table. Not because of trends, not for weight loss, simply because I read something that shook me. The brain doesn't starve after 12 hours it wakes up. So I planned a small experiment: 24 hours without eating, just drinking water and observing. Not to torture myself, but to truly listen to my body. I wanted to know, was hunger as terrifying as I imagined? Would my brain, the thing I used to write, create, and solve problems daily, shut down? Or would it respond differently? No machines, no laboratory, just me, a modern human facing myself during 24 hours without food. And what I experienced was unlike anything I had been taught before. That day, I didn't eat anything for 24 hours. Not because I was practicing asceticism, not because I wanted to lose weight. I simply wanted to see what really happened inside my brain and body when I paused the constant intake of energy, the thing modern society has labeled as essential for survival. Surprisingly, I didn't collapse from hunger. On the contrary, my brain began to operate as smoothly as a computer freshly upgraded. No more sluggishness, no more mid-morning or afternoon drowsiness. Instead, there was an indescribable alertness, as if someone had wiped the dust from my eyes and ears after all these years. But don't think I'm preaching some ultimate way of living. I'm not saying everyone should try it. Fasting isn't for everyone. If you have health issues, eating disorders, low blood pressure, or simply don't feel right skipping meals, don't force yourself. This needs to be done consciously, with research and close observation of how your body reacts. Back to my personal experience, what impressed me wasn't the feeling of an empty stomach, but how my brain responded to the absence of food. Around 6 to 8 hours after my last meal, I started to feel a bit hungry, but it wasn't physical hunger. It was habit. What bothered me most wasn't lack of energy, but that my brain was demanding because it was used to being indulged on schedule. But after pushing past that point around 10-12 hours, clarity kicked in. I started working with more focus, thinking more deeply. Everything stopped being chaotic. My mind felt reorganized, clear, tidy, quiet, like a room full of tangled wires had been unplugged, sorted, and reconnected properly. I wrote faster, came up with more creative ideas, and even felt strangely good. I used to believe that if you don't eat, you'll get dizzy, weak, and unable to function. But in truth, that's just a story repeated so often that everyone believes it. The reality is, the human body is designed to survive times without food. And the brain, which consumes 20% of the body's energy, has its own mechanisms to keep functioning strongly during hunger. One of those special mechanisms is ketosis, the state in which the liver begins to convert fat into ketones, an extremely brain-friendly fuel. Compared to glucose, sugar, ketones are more stable, last longer, and don't cause the spike and crash effect like sugary foods do. Moreover, when the body enters the 16-20-hour fasting window, another wonderful thing happens. Autophagy, the process of cleaning up damaged cells, regenerating neurons, and renewing you from the inside. This isn't exhaustion, this is a biological operating system update. Proper fasting doesn't make you tired, it makes you focused, alert, and deep. I began to realize that fasting isn't skipping meals to lose weight. It's an ancient survival strategy written deep into human genes. When our ancestors couldn't find food for days, they didn't drop dead. They became more alert to hunt, more sensitive to survive. Those with more flexible nervous systems survived, and they're the ones who pass their genes to us. In other words, fasting, when understood and done properly, isn't fighting your body. It's speaking its original language. After 24 hours, when I ate again, I didn't just taste the food, I felt gratitude. I felt like I had reconnected with my body after a long silence. Fasting had turned off the noise and helped me hear my true inner voice again. So, you've followed me on a strange journey, one where not eating didn't make me weaker, but sharper. Fasting done right isn't punishment, it's a powerful conversation with your body. It renews your nervous system, awakens your mind, and reconnects you with the biological blueprint written deep in your genes. You don't need to be a monk, you just need to understand how your body works and maybe start asking, how much do I really need to thrive? If this video helped shift your perspective even a little and reminded you of your body's incredible intelligence, then I've done my job. And if you're curious to keep discovering the surprising science behind your brain, body, and metabolism, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot more fascinating journeys ahead. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, where science comes alive and never stops being cool. In the silence of your stomach, your cells are having the loudest conversation, rebuilding, cleaning, regenerating, a body that can trigger autophagy, protect muscle, boost growth hormone, and burn fat instead of burning out. That's not a diet. That's an advanced biological strategy, sculpted by millions of years of evolution. And today, you don't have to run across deserts to unlock it. You just need to pause eating at the right time and fuel right when it's time. So, if you're wondering, will I lose muscle? Will I feel weak? The answer is no. Not if you understand your body. Fasting doesn't make you fragile. It makes you sharper, clearer, and more in control than any trendy diet or miracle supplement ever could. Don't fast out of fear. Fast because you understand. And if you're ready to step into this ancient yet powerful rhythm, drop a comment, share your experience, and don't forget to subscribe. Because your body doesn't need to shrink, it's ready to rise stronger than ever.